So this is one of the challenges that you guys have to solve in order to get some prizes. And I'm gonna just do the first checkpoint, which is the staking part. So this challenge tells me that I have to build a decentralized staking app in which users will put money into the contract. And then if it reaches a threshold, then another contract will be executed and the money will be transferred and it's completed. So that is the challenge. Now, we just follow these steps here. So this is the way we set it up. We have the centralized staking in the Speedrun repo. If you copy paste all these lines into your terminal, you will directly get there to the working environment. So I'm gonna change to there now. Okay. So I have my challenge here. My challenge here. I am going to first install all my dependencies. Okay, now let me talk a bit about Scaffold Stark here as well. So the documentation of this, there is a web page for Scaffold Stark, which is this one. You can see what we have, some of the main features. You can also join OnlyDAS and Telegram through this UI. And then you are able to check the GitHub. You're also able to run npx create a Stark at latest that is going to set up a local a local project just from your terminal. And then you have the docs. So the docs are very important. You will see what functionalities you have, like scaffold read contract, multi-write, watch contract event, and something we're working on is like using all together with Ethereum contracts in one. So we like a multi-chain setup where you can run Starknet apps and also Ethereum apps. So yeah, this is the documentation as well. I suggest you guys take a look at the documentation to dive deeper into how Scaffold Stark works. So Scaffold Stark is a mono repo, and it has two main packages. The first package is the Next.js app, which is the front end. So this is your front end, and this is your backend. This is your contract side. Now, by default, when you clone a Scaffold Stark, it already has a preset smart contract that you can just go in and run yarn chain, yarn deploy, and yarn start, and you will have something basic to start with. But in this case, we have our challenge, and the challenge has a bunch of preset UI components. So let's actually do this. So usually when you are on a scaffold, you will clone and then you will do yarn chain. Yarn chain is going to start a local host devnet, and then you will do yarn deploy. Okay, just wait a bit. And then you also start your application. Okay, so it's deploying the contract, and now it's deployed and it's running. So I can come in here and go to my local host again. And I'm able to see my beautiful UI of the centralized staking app. And this is a UI based also on a scaffold, a Stark UI. I can come to my debug contracts and play around with this bunch of contracts. So usually we will have ETH and Stark as pre-deploy contracts that are already showing on the UI, so you can interact with them and use them on your app. So you need to deploy these ones, but we deployed this too. These are the two new contracts that we just deployed, and they are preset on this challenge. So if I come here, basically what I am doing is I'm sending an amount of ETH. Now, Scaffold allows you to do this on localhost. So you have a burner wallet because we are on DevNet. So by default, this challenge is on DevNet, and also Scaffold Stark comes with default DevNet. And we will see how we can move from being on DevNet to mainnet or Sepolia very fast without changing much of our source code. So we are on burner wallet here. We choose one burner wallet, and then we're able to execute transactions. You see there's a transaction executed after I click here. It works. However, this is not being updated. So my stake doesn't go up, and my total stake also doesn't go up for this contract. Okay, so that is where the first checkpoint of the challenge comes in. if we go here, you can take a look, or we just go back to the challenge. It says that the first checkpoint will be handling the ETH transactions on a Starknet. Okay. So if we go to our source code, we will go to the Starknet Cairo. Okay. And then we have a bunch of to-dos here, checkpoints. So one of the to-dos is the stake function, and the stake function has received an amount, and we need to transfer the amount from the user to this contract. So that is probably the first thing we have to do. Okay, so as you can see, this contract has a ETH token dispatcher. If you guys went through the Cairo class before, you should be familiar with this. We basically are going to read. Read. We're going to transfer from. Okay, so we have this bunch of checkpoints here to complete, right? We have the also a struct to keep track of the balances for each of the contracts, for each of the accounts. Sorry. From, and then we will have we need to pass also get contract address. Okay. So this line is going to basically transfer the tokens from my account, the one that is calling this function, into this contract. And now we can just redeploy.
Looks like there is an issue. Oh no, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, yeah. No, it's some warnings, the contract, because they are preset to be completed and there's many unused variables. That's why there's some warnings. Anyway, this is like the first step we want to do is like transferring from the person who is calling this into the contract and then transferring the amount. So if we don't need to change this UI, it's like it kept running until now. We just need to come here into our app, just do a refresh, and then we try to connect to our burner wallet, and then execute. And then you can see here now the balance has been updated. So I have successfully transferred 0.5 ETH. And this is just with a couple of lines, one line, and then run again one command line as well. So it's very simple, and that's why scaffold is very useful. So everything will be auto-generated. This Foundry package here, the contract side, is going to auto-generate ABIs, and it's going to put them all into this contracts folder. So you can see deploy contracts on here. It has DevNet as the network, and it has a list of contracts that have been deployed. So this is automatically done when I run yarn deploy on my Starknet Foundry package. So after I edit my contracts, I just do that. It's very fast. Now, I see that this is done, but something is missing. So for example, I'm not able to see events, any events. I'm not able to see my balance here, right? So the next thing I want to do, for example, here is just, it says here, uncomment to emit a stake. Okay, so we want to use the caller address again as the sender. And we are able to emit the events. Now I just redeploy again, and let's see what happens. Now at this point, I also want to show you this hook that I mentioned before, which is the use scaffold event history. this use scaffold event history will allows us to pass the contract name and an event name, and then we will be able to fetch all the events that are emitted by this contract. And we will see how it works. So we just click on there, we pass. Now we have a staked 0.5 ETH. We come to stake events. We can see now that there is the first event here that is being listed. And this is using the event history hook of Scaffold Stark. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there on the contract side. I'm gonna show you something that we like. The Scaffold Stark is for example on the stake UI here, stake contract interaction. Okay, in this section, you will see what is the wrapper. So you might have you saw just now, right? There is a Starknet React has a read contract hook. It also has a write or send transaction hook. But what we have in a scaffold is the same hook, but we have these few parameters like contract name. So contract name will have auto completion. When you open contract name, it's going to tell you which contracts you have deployed and are existing now on your contracts folder. So you will choose them. You will not need to choose an ABI because it is already under the hood fetching the ABIs and generating all the types for you. So in here, I was choosing the staker. And then when I go to function name as well, if I open this, I will see a list of possible choices, like the different functions that we have. Okay. So this is very useful. And then same when you want to pass parameters. When you want to pass parameters here, if you don't pass anything, it's gonna prompt you to that you are using like it's expecting you to pass something, and you're passing nothing. So it's expecting to pass a string, but you're passing nothing. So these type checks are very useful if you don't forget to pass something or you're passing the wrong parameter type. And this is what we have: a scaffold, read contracts, hook, and then write contract hook and use event history hook. It's very useful. Now, the whole app might look a bit too heavy for some of you if you're not too familiar with that, but it's very easy to get started. And the way to get started is by actually following the speed run challenges. So the speed run challenges will help you to start like if you already have a very basic knowledge of Cairo, you can start building these ones, and at the same time building an application that you can deploy and you can share with your friends and they can start interacting with it. Okay, now I have my contract here. Okay, now this Starknet Foundry has an EMV that I have to pass. Now in this EMV, I can pass a private key. I can pass an account address that really exist in the testnet. And after I have validated that my application is working properly, I want to deploy this to Sepolia and then share with friends so they can use it. So I don't need to do much changes on my app. All I have to do is I come here in scaffold config and I change my target network to Sepolia. Now it's gonna prompt me with a bunch of errors here because some of these contracts don't exist on Sepolia. And this is because I need to deploy those contracts on Sepolia. So after I have already filled in my EMV on the contracts package on the backend, I will be able to just do yarn deploy network Sepolia. And it's gonna, so if this deploys on DevNet, it should also deploy on Sepolia automatically. And the same flow, the same process will work seamlessly in the front end. So you don't need to do much changes later. It's very easy to move from one step to the next. So it's again deploying the contracts that we wrote. Again, this is just incomplete version of these contracts, just to showcase a bit of how you're going to solve these challenges and also how to use a scaffold. Okay. Now in the Next.js package, as you can see, there's an EMV example. It's going to give me an RPC provider. Now, as I mentioned before, you can also use a public RPC provider that is given by Starknet React. But I highly suggest that you guys, if you want to have a more stable front end, guys go to Infura or Alchemy and get a dedicated provider or RPC URL that you can use on your front end, because otherwise sometimes it might be a bit buggy or laggy if you're using the public providers. So in this case, I'm using this one. It's not the public. It's a public one, but it's defined. So it's set here, because sometimes when you use the public provider of a Starknet React, it's gonna change between different types of providers. So I just want to stick to this one, and I put it on my EMV. I'm gonna put it here, my EMV, and also my EMV local. And the next thing I want to do is I don't want to give too much ETH, so I'm gonna change this to 0.1. I don't want to lose my Sepolia ETH. So I'm gonna do this 1, 1. Okay, after that, our front end should be good. Then we just need to do yarn start. Now, after I have already moved into my new setup with Sepolia, I can actually connect. I don't see the burner wallet anymore because it doesn't exist. I need to connect using the real wallet. In this case, I'm gonna connect with Bravos. So with Bravos, I can see my balance of a Stark and my balance of ETH in Sepolia, and I can come in and do interactions. So I can come here and do a stake. So it already prompts me to my wallet. As you can see here, I can come in and sign. It has 2 transactions approved and a stake. I can come in and sign, and this transaction will exist already on Starknet. I can click on checkout transaction, and I will be able to see it on my designated explorer. In this case, a Stark scan. As you can see, it's executed here. There's a sender address and the ETH, the events, and all this is in this transaction link. Okay. Now, I feel like my application is ready. It's updating. I feel like I have finished. So if I'm building my front end application or my full dApp on Starknet, what is the next step is I want to make this live. So in order for me to ship this, I have 2 command lines that I can run. I can do yarn vercel, or if my application is not building and sometimes we are pushing because of a deadline, you want to do something like yarn vercel YOLO -- prod. So in this case, we are deploying our app right into Vercel, and then we are able to share this with friends or submit it to a hackathon or as an MVP very fast. Moving from DevNet to Sepolia, and then you can move to the mainnet as well seamlessly. Is there any questions so far?
Not especially, I guess. I think everything is pretty clear on our side. Even if we're gonna see again the recording session, because it's a live coding session, so it's complicated to follow in the same time. But yes, I think it's okay on our side, and we are really excited to to see everything related to speedrun challenges. So thank you for all your hints and and to ship that.
All right. Uh-huh. Yeah. Let me finish this with let me show this app that is live.
Sure,
And
sure,
also
sure.
one of the, like, I think it's a very useful feature of a scaffold, which is the debug page at its maximum. Let me just wait a bit, and then I'm gonna wait there. I'm gonna close this IDE first, and I'm gonna open there. So I have this another repo. Sorry for too many code bases. I wanna show these very complicated structs or data structures in the Starknet. So you can do like structs and nested structs. tuples inside of the structs, options, enums. Okay, if you are building an application that uses very complicated structs, it might be very troublesome for you to like think about how you can integrate these with your front end or how you can actually interact with these contracts. Because as I mentioned before, what you have to do is things like this, right? So if you have nested structs or enums in a struct, you might have a headache. That this is a personal experience and also friends experience. So we have I want to show you with this branch that we have on the Scaffold Stark repo. It's called bulletproof contracts. It's a bunch of very hard or very complicated contracts with different data structures that showcases um, how useful this can be. Yarn start. Okay, so I have, for example, this structs contract, and I want to set a contract inside a key. But before that, let me actually run my chain. So I need to run my localhost development network, deploy my contracts, and run my application. 3 command lines for you to start. So I am going to set a struct into a key here. I'm going to call these two functions. Set sample struct with key, and then I'm going to read this sample struct with key. So get it and then set it. Set it and then get it. I'm going to show you how the UI looks like for these type of very complicated data structures. Meanwhile, let's see if the other. Okay, so the app is running. The app that we just published now into Vercel. So you can see here, it's showing me my data. I can come in and interact, connect my wallet, send transactions. It all happens here. I can approve this website. So this is already live and running on Sepolia very fast. I'm gonna close that, close this one too. And I'm gonna open my localhost again. Now these contracts are deployed. I can come here into my localhost and connect to my burner wallet because I am on DevNet localhost. I come to debug contracts and I am able to see the structs, for example. The structs, if I want to write, so there is a tab for write functions. I have this function called set example struct with key. And this is how you will be passing a struct. So it's a drop down. It's very simple to use. You can just pass a key of, I'm gonna put this in key 2. I'm gonna pass a number 15 and hello there. And the enum. So the enum requires you to set only one parameter. So I'm gonna put this one. You cannot set more than one parameter on the enum. But as you can see, this is a bit more user-friendly UI for you guys to come in and play around with your contracts if you are working and trying to move fast. So you come here and then you send a transaction. Okay, and then you can come and read it by using the key that we passed. And then we can see, right, the ID, the name, status, and the enum, hello. So this is a very useful feature of a scaffold that we like because we like to move fast. We don't want to be playing around with many CLIs or complicated tests if you are actually launching an MVP or in a hackathon project. Okay, I think that's pretty much it, what I wanted to share. Celine, and here,
Thank you.
yes. Yeah, everything is on our GitHub. So if you go to GitHub
Yeah. Could you
Scaffold
send us
Stark, everything is
the
there.
slide? Could you send the slide in the chat, and I will put this one on our Notion as well?
Okay, sure. All right. I will be doing
Or
that.
send me by DM, and I will put directly on Notion.
Okay, sure. Stop share.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Okay, thanks. Thank you guys.
Do you have any question? Yeah, people on the on site told you.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
I
Yes.
don't have more Sepolia ETH. Can
Yeah,
you
so right
share?
now, we're gonna do the challenges. So I know a few people from Erda already started to do it, including myself.
Perfect.
So yeah, clean and neat explanation. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Bora. Right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Any questions? Again, on the chat, we have a developers chat of a Scaffold Stark. You can always come in and ask questions. All right.
Yeah, and just to let you know, so everything has been recorded, so we're gonna put the session online on YouTube. And some people are lo- uh, are viewing this one, so all
Okay.
good.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Thank you everyone online for being here today. So it's the end of the day and it's the end of just the Starknet week. So why now we're gonna move forward together, especially to complete Starklinks and to complete the Stark speedrun Stark challenges. And don't forget to go uh, to the Women of Starknet group, and yeah, just I will go to the Women of Starknet group. So this one, and I will re-put the notion, our notion, in the chat, and let's go. All good? Okay. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye bye. Tschüss.